Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And I apologize for the dark lighting, but I don't want this light on, so you just have to deal with it. And plus, it's not really necessary to see me anyways. However, the new Shuna has released. Highly controversial because she is, in a wolf outfit. When we already had a wolf in the game, who hasn't had a new unit since February of March of 2021. No, 2022, sorry. So, interesting decision was made by the devs, made even more interesting by the fact that the devs recognize it and put this in the Predator battle. Veldora, wait, it's not Ranga? Talk about a seriously missed opportunity. Rawr. The devs even acknowledge it. I don't know who did this at Bandai Namco, but hats off to that intern who coded that line in, and Veldora being like, okay. So, hats off to you if I ever wore hats. But Shuna, she's here, and she's supposed to be FENRIR, the Great Wolf, and we're just gonna have to live with that. So, is she good? And in a vacuum, I would say yes. She is fairly good. But I would also call her a bit unnecessary. So let's take a look. She is Wind, she is Magic, she is on Otherworld Legend, Ogre's Pride, and Tempest Elite, two teams that do not have true leaders yet, so sorry, not sorry. She uses a fist, a Wind Fist, so if you have Windmillum and you have gear for her, just go ahead and take it off Windmillum and put it on Shuna. She is Defense Growth, as expected, because this is a defense meta. But taking a look at her skills, she has a single target Wind magic attack for 490%, no additional effect, no defense lowering, no defense raising, no guard power shenanigans, whatever. It's just damage, which would look very odd. It becomes less odd when we take into account her full kit. So, based on the initial skill preview we got this morning, we knew that she was going to have stacks of Vengeance and also give herself 50% ult gauge just for free alongside the Vengeance stack. And myself included was like, why? Why? She's a defense growth character. She doesn't have a good attack stat. There are no true supports around her that are really giving her a lot in terms of damage buffs. Well, the devs heard you. They saw into the future and they were like, we've got to make an actual Magic Wind DPS because we don't have a Wind EX Magic DPS. We have a Wind Physical single target in Hinata, and we have a Wind Magic AoE in Sokka, and we have a Wind Physical in Shizu, but not a Wind Magic EX unit. So how do we solve that problem of Shuna not having a good support around her to give her damage buff? Well, let's pull from old Earth Mirren and swap her stats around. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, she is the second unit to be able to swap her stats. So, in battle, if you were to have 6,976 defense and 4,679 attack, and you use that skill, you would all of a sudden have 6,976 attack and 4,679 defense, right? That's how that works. It just takes the base number and flips it. Now, one thing to note is that any additional defense buff that you put on before that, like a temporary defense buff from Maid Rimuru or Space Rimuru, that does not get flipped as well. It just stays on whatever your new defense stat is. So if we had 69,000 defense and we flipped it, and we now had 6,900 attack and we had 4,600 attack or defense, and you used a temporary defense buff that would say add 1,000 points of defense, you would then have 5,600 defense because it's adding onto what is your new defense stat. If you were to raise your defense up to 1,000,000, right, and you had 5 attack and you flipped it, you would not have 5,000,000 attack. You would have whatever your base value is at 1,000, and whatever else you did for your defense would just stay on your defense. So, and it's a weird kind of way to do it, but just keep in mind that temporary defense buffs don't go into the stat swap. That's the thing you got to take out of that. And then she also gives herself a 50% wind attack buff, which is not insignificant. It's actually pretty good. It's not as good as a 50% straight attack buff, but there are other units who can do that. One of which is a wind unit, and also magic, and her name is Soka. But it's conditional. So it's not always going to be 45%. In fact, it's not going to be 45%, because you don't have all the units necessary to do that. So, we took a defense character, gave her a skill that rushed alt, and added Vengeance, and then gives her the ability to swap the stats and give herself a wind attack buff. And she's an EX single target, which means that she can do respectable damage if you give her damage buffs. Like, the stat swap and the alt, we did it in the Jubilee fight when I was on stream just a little bit ago, and she did 166k. Just with the stat swap and the EX alt and the wind attack. That's it. And what else are you going to add there? Like, you could bring Dark Milim, right, for the orb change and the 70% alt buff. You certainly could. And that would jump her up to probably like 300k or something like that. Which, I mean, cool, whatever. Is it necessary to do that, though? Because if you break it down, you're using a 55-point skill for a 70% alt buff. Well, will that alt buff actually do more damage than 6 stacks of Vengeance, right? Because of 50 points is 2 skills of Vengeance, which you could use this one, you could use Yom's, you could use Raphael's, for the actually less cost. So there's the trade-off. I don't know if 6 stacks of Vengeance does more, or if 70% alt buff does more. I will certainly test it out for you, but my brain says probably the Vengeance. Probably the Vengeance. Don't quote me on that yet, because I haven't tested it. So, in the end, like, did we need Shuna? If we take a look at the team that I'm currently running, alright, this is roughly what the new team would look like if I was going to run it for just everyday kind of stuff. We have Wind Veldora, type advantage, orange orb changer. We have Raphael, the defense, right? All of the defense plus Vengeance. Yom, the blue orb change plus Vengeance. Isis is here for her orb change backup and the green buff. And then we have Shuna, who is, giving herself a 50% alt gauge every time we use Vengeance, and then stat swapping, which is cool. We have Velzard, who is capped at 100 points. And during Beatdown Battle, during Jubilee, you can only use 100 points. And generally, when I play that, I am locked into using the orange orb change from Veldora, the blue orb change from Yom, and then Yom and Raphael's stacks of Vengeance. And that's 100 points. And I literally cannot use anything else. So, on the other half, you could not use one of their stacks, and you could use Shuna's stacks, because she would give herself alt gauge while giving three stacks of Vengeance. Sure. Okay. There could be turns where you don't need to orb change if you get incredibly lucky, and then you could use 3 stacks of, all 3 Vengeance stacks. But you're capped at 99, and by the end of Jubilee, this mock Jubilee, I'm sitting at, on a good run, 97, right? So I've missed out on 1 skill usage of Shuna. I don't know if it's necessary to have Shuna, because again, this team does not have any other buff except for what Shuna's giving herself, which is the wind attack and the stat swap. So it's on the final turn, it's yeah, we can use that if we have the points, alongside whatever Vengeance stacks to make sure we can get those last little bits in, and she can do 160k. Great. Is that absolutely necessary? No, because we already know the formula in that an AoE ult is a lot better than a single target ult in this kind of format. Because there's 3 enemies and you have type advantage, you have all the other damage. So the single target is, I think, a supplement damage, but also to help people cope with not having a magic EX wind unit. And that's the only thing I can think of. Does she fit on this team? Technically, yes. Is she necessary for the team? No, I don't think so. I think that if you have Velzard and Raphael, you do not need Shuna, because for most purposes, you only have enough points to use Yom and Raphael and then your orb changers. Shuna is there for funsy onesies on the off chance you get lucky. She is not a critical part of the team. I just don't think she's going to help. And as far as like older players, late game players who are still on the fence, I still don't think you need her. If you don't have Raphael, you don't have Belzard. I would continue throwing multis on that if you're summoning. And if you're smart, then you're not summoning at all, and you're gonna save for the next month and 2 months. And then we'll be talking about the anniversary, and then we'll be looking real nice, won't we? And then it'll be a triple feature unit banner, and they're gonna do a whole bunch of weird shit that's gonna make them so OP they're gonna last for another year and a half. Like Anniversary of Eldora, like the Hero 1.0, right? Those kinds of units come out on the big time celebrations. They only happen twice a year, the half Annie and the actual Annie. And they've already proven that at least one unit will stick around, because for the half Annie, we got the Hero. Still used to this day. For the actual Annie, we have, Dark Milim and we have Veldora. 2 units that are still proving their worth to this day. For the half anniversary, we got fucking Guy and Violet, who, if you're running a physical team, they're like necessary in order to bring out the maximum potential of damage on that team. Like, actually necessary. If you don't have Guy on a physical team, you're shit. And if you don't have Guy and Violet, you're even worse shit. Like, your team isn't going anywhere. Like, that was the difference. That was the difference for the Summer Memories meta, right? You could have the entire Summer Memories meta. Hinata, Valentine, Milim, Trainee, and you would do 500,000 damage on your AoE ult. Or you could have Guy and Violet instead of Hinata and Valentine, and you could do like 1.2 million damage, or maybe like 800,000 damage. That's quite a bit more. They're kind of good. So every anniversary, there's always at least one unit who sticks around and becomes meta relevant for ever. Until they get hard replaced, which so far none of them have been hard replaced. Even the Hero has never been hard replaced to this day. And, the half anniversary was, what, April something of 22? And it's now September 3rd of 2023, and she's still, like, a necessary component for Jubilee? Yeah, I think people should still be saving their crystals for that, instead of throwing their multis on the cute little wolf Shuna. I get it. She's cute. She's adorable. She's waifu. She is apparently one of the top 3 characters of JP player, or JP in general. Japan. I didn't know that. Maybe you didn't know that. That's interesting to know. Milim is number 1, which, good. I like Milim. I'm part of that, except I'm not in Japan. I still don't think you should summon for this Shuna, though. Is she good? Sure. Why not? Is she necessary? No. Don't do it. Summon for Raphael and Velzard if you need to, if you want to. And if you don't, save for the anniversary. And if you're already a whale, well, then I'll ask nature what a 120 Shuna looks like. But yeah, that's it. Like, I don't think you should. I don't think she's gonna bring too much value to your team in the future. Maybe now, maybe for like this next 3 weeks, and then I don't know if we're ever gonna use her again. I could be wrong, but right now I don't really know. So let me know your thoughts on this new Shuna. If you summoned for her for some reason, let me know how your summons went. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.